Alright, lab number 6 here. We're going to size some defects. We're going to use our NavShips block or NavC block to calibrate to a 3-inch range. Then we're going to scan this little block right here. This is just one that I've got. It's got some holes drilled in it. See that right there? Just a regular piece of steel. We're going to scan it to see how big the defects are on the inside. So let's see if we can get the glare off the scope as much as possible. About as good as we're going to get it right there. Okay? So now we need to set our scope up to a 3-inch range. 3-inch range. It's longitudinal transducer in steel. So 0.233. Somewhere around there. Take our probe delay all the way back to 0. Then we need to go and turn our dual off. Pulsar, dual, off. So, now the dual's off. We can see our screen over there. Range of 3 inches. Calibrate using our velocity here. Alright, so we see that. We just have a regular transducer parked on that block, so 3-inch range is going to work out just fine for us. If we have a hole or a defect right up next to the transducer, we should be able to see that just barely. Okay, coming up there about 10% or so. 10% of 3 inches, about 3/10. Okay, a little over 1/4 of an inch. Get another, there's another defect right there. Okay, another one right there. So we want to make sure what the thickness of this block is. We're about 42% of 3 inches. So if we come over here, now we know we have a 3-inch range. So first off, what's the thickness of the part? Alright, and that's coming up at about 56% of 3 inches. So you can figure that, that'll be first part of your lab. But what we want to do is a 20 dB drop. So we need to find a defect first. So I'm just scanning this block to find a defect, which there's one. We want a little bit farther down. There we go. Alright. Let's peak that defect up. I'm going to peak it up to about 80% screen height. About 80. Okay, somewhere close to. Now how we're going to do this, whoops, bring it down a little bit now. I had to move my transducer. We're going to do a 6 dB drop. And then all we're going to do with the 6 dB drop is take our transducer from where it is, okay, it's parked on our block here. I'll bring you down a little bit so you can see. Okay, transducer's parked on the block right there. Let me back up so you can see the block and the scope, hopefully. That'll work. So now what I want to do is take this, scan out this way until my signal drops to 40% screen height. Okay, but it looks like I still got some out here. Okay, so still going. Whoops, looks like we're starting to lose it. So we'll bring it back to 80%. Okay, and I'm rubbing and scrubbing back and forth like this because with that coupling it's hard to do. So when that thing starts to drop to 40% screen height, which is about right there, you have to imagine some of this stuff is couplant problems. So about right there. Still there, still there, still there. There we go. So now we just make a mark in the center of our transducer, and that is how we would do a 6 dB drop. Okay? And all we figured out there is the depth of that hole. Let's get it somewhere so you can kind of read it. And it's looking like it's drilled about 3 inches deep. Okay? So if we had another one here, we wanted to measure the size, we'd run that back up to 80%. Okay, size this way, I mean. So we know it's 3 inches out here, but we want to see how far or how wide it is. We drop that signal to 40% again. We're actually past 80, so let's bring it back down. Okay, drop it to 40. Okay, make a mark in the center of the transducer. Back up to 80. And then over here again to 40. Make another mark center of the transducer. And you can see, let's get you back up here, that right here, it's this wide. Okay, here's our marks. And that long. So that hole looks about like that, drilled in there. If we look down on the side of the block, we can see that we're pretty close. Okay? So, another question. If we know that it's 3 inches wide, we want to know at what depth is that hole. Coming up about 24%. Okay, we have our back wall coming up at about 56. That's coming up at about 24. So if it's 24% of 3 inches, how deep is that hole?